Of course, as soon as I go live, George decides to splash around in her litter box. Anyways, we're live, I guess. The inaugural book club discussion for the Bender Book Club, Little Big by John Crowley. Read this in January, and by January I mean last month, because I don't know what time is anymore. I finished it. I didn't think this would be possible based on how it started, but I finished it, and spoiler alert, I loved it. I think I'm the only one that read it, but yeah, so this might be a very short discussion / review. But I have notes. We'll give everyone a couple minutes in case people actually want to join in chat. Hi, Tharnal. How are you? Wait, why are my hold on. This looks weird. Nope. Ugh. There you go. That works. Okay. But hi, Tharnal. How are you? What are you reading? Have you read Little Big? Are you just here to hear me yap about stuff? Either way, it's cool. Sorry, it's like I don't know how to use StreamYard anymore. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, nice. Finishing Black Company. Very cool. Very cool. To be brutally honest, I'm probably this is going to be a very short video. Thanks, Thurnal. This is probably gonna be a very short live stream because, again, I am the only one that read this book, and what I actually am going to try and do is I will just try and talk about my thoughts, spoiler free, and then dive into spoilers, and I may or may not re-edit this, like download this and edit it after we're done and post it as a non-live video, depending upon how I can formulate my thoughts. But anyways, yes, so like I said before, like I said at the start, this is a discussion of Little Big by John Crowley. This is the first book that we read for the Bender Book Club. Read it in January, and by we, I mean, I'm pretty sure I am the only one that read it. And I am very glad that I read it. This is a book that Matt from various Discords actually got me a number of years ago. I don't know what time is anymore, but he got it for me a few years ago. It was the first book he ever got me, and I've been terrified to read this book since because it is one of his favorite books from one of his favorite authors, if not his favorite author. And I was terrified of, if I don't like it, let alone love it, how am I going to be able to talk to Matt again? And then on top of that, me picking it for the book club, it is adds a little bit of pressure to like the book that is for a book club pick. Thankfully, I did like this book. I actually really loved this book. It did not start that way. It's a very high bar for entry, or barrier for entry, however you want to say that. It's incredibly stylized. John Crowley's prose is very intentional in his portrayal of this kind of mystical, fantastical, borderline whimsical descriptions of really everything. We don't really have a central character in this book. We are introduced to Smokey Barnable as the first character that we're introduced to, but this is really just a family saga. It's a fantastical family saga about the Drinkwater clan. And I've mentioned this before in Discord and to people individually, is that this book feels like the more fantastical version of Michael McDowell's Blackwater. And really, I should say, Blackwater actually feels like a more horror version of this book, because this book was published in 1981, question mark? Definitely before Blackwater, for sure. Yeah, 1981. And so this was published before Blackwater. And this just takes fairy, the classic fairy, and brings it to literally the New World, to America, and how these old world figures would be interacting and influencing the New World. And it's just, this is a trip, man. Like, it's a trip of a book. You don't know what's going on. You don't know who's related to who. If I didn't have the family tree at the front, which I assume is on every single edition, but if it's only on this one, thank God I have the family tree, because I kept having to flip back and forth to reference this family tree to see who was related to who. But it is, like I said, it's following the Drinkwater clan, even though we're introduced to Smokey Barnable, who is outside of the Drinkwater clan. Gonna take a step back. Because we are introduced to Smokey at the start, he is going to the Drinkwater homestead on foot. He cannot drive, he cannot take a train, anything like that. He has to walk to this homestead to marry what will be his wife. Daly Alice Drinkwater is what she's called, though it's Alice Daly Drinkwater. Alice Daly, whatever it's called, how you pronounce it. But anyways, so he's going to marry Alice, and through the introduction of him, we're obviously introduced to the Drinkwater clan and introduced to the matriarch, the history of this family. But it's not linear at all. We are bouncing back and forth in timelines and from one person to the next. And it is a trip. Like, I can't describe it any more than that. It's just a straight up trip. And I'm going to be honest, I read a good portion of this book while experiencing gummies, and genuinely probably the best experience I've had reading a book, because I didn't know what was going on with the book in general, and then on top of that, adding an experience of not knowing what time you're in anyways. It was great. I do see other people are here. Hi, Anitha. Hi, Chadia. So, scary Shakespearean fae. Yeah. Yes. So, hold on, I keep getting messages. What's going on? I have notes here. Yes and no. Thank you. You know, it's fine. I'm gonna edit this. I'm gonna edit that part out when I post this. But yes, not really scary fae, but definitely, I don't know. It's not a Court of Thorns and Roses fae, basically. You know, it's just not the modern fae that we expect of, you know, wingspans to represent other size things, and yeah, whatever. Anyways, yeah, so this is just a family saga. It's beautiful. It's a ye olden fairy tale, and it's just so good. Like, once you take the time and you give it the effort that it requires, this will reward you. If you don't have the time, or you're not willing to put the effort in, which is fair, not everyone is, it's just good. It's just great. I have no one else to bounce off of here, so on screen live, so this is going to be very haphazard and weird, and chaotic, so I apologize. Well, more chaotic than usual, let's be honest. Changeling Faye, thank you, Chadia. Should have had you on screen. Yeah, other size things. You know what I mean. George is going crazy. But yeah, so it's just, I'm very glad that I took my time with this. And it was a rewarding experience for that. And I'm genuinely glad that I didn't realize there was an audiobook for this until I was basically almost done with this book. Because if I had, at the start of this, if I had resorted to the audiobook because I was really struggling with getting momentum and being compelled by the prose itself, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed this at all. The audiobook Kiss of Death, as it were, is not good for me. And again, just taking your time with this, taking it slowly, experiencing the story as it's written, and it is written in even piecemeal. So if you look here, I'm trying to go for stuff. So like this is the first chapter or whatever, and there are little kind of not paragraph breaks, but sections that are named, and so it's very, I don't know, it's an older, more classic style of writing, which I really, really enjoyed. And that demands a little bit more time, I feel like. So yeah, you should be reading some fairy related stuff. I think this would be beneficial. Matt did tell me that apparently this is related. There are some references to John Crowley's other books, specifically the Egypt cycle, which was interesting. There are some figures in here that I had no idea what the references were until I had to look them up. But understanding the reference actually made the context like that more fruitful. Again, chaos, man, it's fine. I have notes here again. The thing that clicked with me, literally the moment that this book clicked with me was, and I guess we're just gonna get into spoilers. Sorry, guys. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. It's not gonna be like major spoilers, but I'm definitely gonna get into spoiler stuff if you don't want to know anything about this book. So I will give you a second. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, I'm assuming that anyone's here doesn't care about spoilers. So, okay, the moment, the scene that made this book click for me was this far into the book. And it's literally the Gothic bathroom in the description of the bathroom as Gothic. And I'm just going to do a dramatic reading. At the end of a whorl of hall was the Gothic bathroom, the only one in the house with a tub long enough for her being Daily Alice. Stuck as it was at a turning of the house, the sun hadn't yet reached it. Its stained windows were dim, and its cold tile floor made her stand tiptoe. The gargoyle faucet coughed fastidically. Oh my god. That's another thing. As a pause, he uses a lot of words that I had to use a thesaurus for in a dictionary to figure out what the hell he was talking about. Anyways, back to the dramatic reading. And deep within the house, the plumbing held conference before allowing her some hot water. The sudden rush had its effect, and she gathered up her brown skirts around her waist and sat on the somewhat episcopal hollow throne, chin in hand, watching the steam rise from the sepulchral tub and feeling suddenly sleepy again. She pulled the chain, and when the loud clash of contrary waters was done, she unbelted and stepped from her gown, shuddered, and climbed carefully into the tub. The Gothic bathroom had filled with steam. Its sort of Gothic was really more woodland than church. The vaulting of its arch above The vaulting of it arched above Daily Alice's head and interlaced like meeting branches, and everywhere carven ivy, leaves, tendrils, and vines were in restless biomorphic motion. On the surface of the narrow stained glass windows, dew formed in drops on cartoon bright trees and on the distant hunters and vague fields which the trees framed. And when the sun on its lazy way had lit up all 12 of these, bejeweling the fog that rose from her bath, Daily Alice lay in a pool in a medieval forest. Her great-grandfather had designed the room, but another had made the glass. His middle name was Comfort, and that's what Daily Alice felt. She even sang. So that literally was the point at which it clicked with me. It anchored me into the story of this is Gothic. Like, this is not it's just Gothic. That's all it is. And the adding to it, making it more fantastical and more a nature-based Gothic than more horror-based Gothic. That was when it clicked with me. And I was invested at that point. Regardless of whether I understood what was going on, I was ready for the story that John Crowley was willing and ready to tell me. Yeah, so do you see that Raph is on? Hey, Raph, I know that you've read this. Sadly, I have to watch this later as I'm running a tabletop RPG right now and haven't killed the party yet. Listen, it's all right. I know! Gargoyle Faucet is so cool! What is that Alexandria book in the background? So it is it's a nonfiction book that I have not yet read about Alexandria. So, yeah, I know, Tharnal. How dare Ruff not tell us about gargoyle faucets? But yes, anyways, back to I guess spoiler stuff. So that's when it clicked with me, and as you can see, I actually like put tabs and stuff like that of just kind of things that maybe I wanted to talk about, and I guess I'll go through each one of them. So that was the Gothic faucet, Gothic bathroom. Yeah, and the next note that I have here is sorry, George is going crazy. Oberon, not so there are two Oberons in this family. There's the older Oberon, who is the son of Violet, and then there's the younger Oberon, who is the son of Smokey and Alice. The older Oberon is problematic at best. Let's just say he takes pictures of young girls, and that's gross. It is incredibly gross, and the way it's described is incredibly gross. I don't think I mentioned it, but this is set in like it starts off in like the 1920s or so. It's not really exactly defined, I don't think. But yeah, it's just, there's this kind of nebulous quality to the time frame. I anticipate, like, in my mind, it was like 1920s, 1930s type. And it follows the family over the course of a long period of time. Yes, 100% problematic. Anitha, no, you would not like this book. I guarantee it. You would not like this book. Hold on. Can't escape. Exactly. Wherever you go, you can't escape creeps. But yeah, so anyways, so Oberon, he uses his camera to take pictures of nature, and including his female family members in questionable scenes. Oh my God, George! She's going crazy right now. She's got the zoomies. Seriously? Why do you have the zoomies? Again, chaos. It's fine. Whatever. Anyways, apart from his problematic photography, he's totally separate from everybody else. And it's just, you kind of actually, oddly enough, feel bad for him, because he is the result of, like, he's not a Drinkwater, technically. He is the son of the matriarch of the family, Violet, and a man that impregnated her before she met John Drinkwater. So he's basically the stepchild. Not really stepchild, but he's not biologically a Drinkwater. And so he's completely separate, feeling from this family in that regard. He's not biologically a full-blooded sibling to the rest of the family, and he's not a Drinkwater. And then on top of that, with these kind of mystical qualities that this family has, it's really only the women in the family that have this. And Oberon is someone who, he knows that he can't see these things, and he feels like he's missing out. And so he tries to capture this through photography, and it's really the only way that he may or may not be able to see things. So the thing that I had marked here, it's called "Can You Find the Faces?" And he takes these photographs, again, these very problematic photographs of his female family members, in nature. But in the trees, he sees these kind of fairy, fae creatures. And that's the only way that he can see them or experience them. And it's unnerving. It just unsettles me. And on one hand, it's sad and kind of beautiful, but then you know what he's like. When you don't think about it, it's sad and beautiful, but then when you think about the actualities of what he's doing, it's disgusting. It's all of these things. It's very complicated. So yeah, it's just oy vey. The next scene that I marked here, and this is oh my God, again, this whole family saga, it's a family saga, family drama, like it's all of the things. It's like a soap opera, but with fairies. And yeah, so the next scene that I marked was Sophie gets pregnant. And again, because of the uncertainty of this entire novel of what's real and what's unreal, you don't really know who the father is, or because on the page, her cousin, not first cousin, I don't think. Let me remind myself. I don't think it's the first cousin, but I think it's like the second cousin or third cousin. Yeah, second or third cousin. I don't know how that works, but it's not the first cousin for sure. He basically rapes her. He assaults her. The way that this is gone about is incredibly weird. Sophie has these episodes where she just falls asleep, and that's when George rapes her. And yes, exactly. Bye, Anitha. Yeah, oh my God, yes. That's Yeah. Oh my God, it's so bad. And then she gets pregnant. But then Sophie tells her sister, Sophie is, again, this is chaos. It's fine. Whatever. Sophie is Alice's sister. Sophie tells Alice that Smokey, her husband, is the one that is the father of the child. We don't know, like, I didn't know, I'm like, so what's real and what's not? Like, I thought it was George's. According to the family tree, it says George. But the way that it was described and the way that just everything happened, it feels like it could be Smokey's child. And it's just so weird and so just unmooring. And I don't know, just not knowing what's, again, going back to the real and unreal, just not knowing what's real, what's unreal. It was simultaneously confusing but compelling. And I don't know, if you're gonna like that type of feeling, then I guess read the book. Yeah, this is such chaos. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, okay. So the next scene that I marked. That's true. George did see him coming out of Sophie's room, so technically it could be Smokey's too. That's why, because we don't know. Anyways, so the next scene that I marked here was Lilac, the Lilac character. So Lilac is, she's just really interesting. So Lilac is from the generation after Smokey and Alice. So Smokey and Alice have four kids. Sorry, four kids. Yes, 4 kids. So Tacy, Lily, Lucy, and then the youngest generation, Oberon. As an aside, Tacy, Lily, and Lucy, the way that they are described and the scenes in which they had significance, they just remind me of the 3 fates, and they do foretell and make prophecies. But to Lilac, going back to Lilac, she is the daughter of Sophie, and maybe George, maybe Smokey, we don't know, really. Do we really want to trust the family tree? And she, I don't know, I just keep thinking about Lilac and the scenes that she's in. When she's born, or soon after she's born, she's taken away by the Fae and by the fairy. And she's replaced by a changeling child. So Sophie is, you could argue, it's not an analog, but it's what's the word? It's a metaphor, I guess, for, child loss, postpartum depression, stillbirth, that type of thing. And it was just really emotional reading that scene when she's replaced. And then Lilac, so when she's again introduced, and I might be having the timelines run a little bit, but she's introduced in a couple of different scenes, or it plays significance in a few different scenes. One of them is obviously when she's taken and replaced by a changeling, which is incredibly emotional. Another scene is when the younger Oberon, the son of Smokey and Alice, he has a friend named Lilac, and it's described as an imaginary friend. So again, this real versus unreal quality. Is this the actual Lilac? Is this the changeling Lilac? Is this the fairy Lilac? is this lilac actually imaginary? Like, did lilac even exist? Was Sophie even pregnant? It just elicits all of these questions of what actually happened in the story. And when it's revealed, not even revealed, but when in the next significant scene where Lilac takes apart, we see her with this fairy, essentially, Mrs. Underhill, and she's reintroduced to and reconnected to Sophie, where when she's taken away, initially when she's a child, she's holding on to Sophie's hair, and they have to cut Sophie's hair in order to take the child away. And when Lilac with Mrs. Underhill goes to visit Sophie, Sophie's asleep, and she tries to wake up her mother because she recognizes her as her mother, and she's pulling on her hair to try and wake her up. And that, for me, was incredibly, incredibly emotional as well. And it's just, I don't know how to just, like, this is a book that it's really hard for me to describe anything with any concrete, definitive words. It's just an experience. And it's just, I don't know how to describe it. I don't know how to describe it. Anyways, back to chat. Hi, Alicia. You DNF'd it like 100. That's okay. Like, it's not for everyone. Like, I get it. Shadia DNF'd it too. Wait, what are you whatting about? Wait, now you need to continue? But if she's introduced later, where's the fake lilac? So, again, that with that real, unreal quality, I don't know, like, is the fake lilac, the changes in lilac, a child that died? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Like, what's real? What's unreal? What's fake? What's not? Anyways, so I'm just gonna go through my notes here, or whatever. So I put a note here. It doesn't have the site. Being smoky, the two lilacs. Yeah, I already talked about that. Oh, not the last thing for sure, but Tharnal, who cares about the characters? Tell us more about that bathroom. Oh, that'd be great. I would love to. Anyways, this book has an element that I'm still trying to like figure out, and still trying to like settle on how I liked it or didn't like it. And it's this character named Russell Eigenblick. So he's described as, oh god, what was it? I wish Matt was here so he could remind me. But it is the Great Emperor. No, I have, oh my god, I had notes here. I swear to god. It's fine. Again, chaos. Don't worry about it, guys. Nope. All right. Apparently I didn't write it down. Whoopsie daisy. That's fine. Let me just open this up in a new tab. Okay, I already talked about Smokey. Already talked about Alice. Talked about a little bit about Violet. Talked about Sophie. Talked about George. Blah 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 blah. But Russell is basically supposed to be this figure, this legend that sorry, all I hear is George eating her food right now, and it's very loud in my brain. Anyways, Russell is supposed to be this embodiment of this holy Roman emperor from back in obviously the Holy Roman Empire, and he's supposed to bring back the empire. And there's this description that the Holy Roman Empire is shifting and literally like moving across the Atlantic, and it's settled in the New World in America. And so Russell Eigenblick, or whatever his name is, however you say that, is supposed to be this new manifestation, a new iteration of this Holy Roman Empire. And his character's never really fully explored, except for his interactions with this character named Ariel, who you find out is related to the Drinkwater clan by marriage through Violet Bramble's line. So essentially, the father of the man who impregnated Violet to begin with, and she gave birth to Oberon, the man who takes the weird pictures. He had other children, and Ariel is the descendant of those other children. And she is this magician, wizard person. It's never really, at least maybe I didn't get it. It's never really fully described. But she's basically, in her interactions, Ariel's interactions with Russell, she is simultaneously trying to thwart him, but also support him at the same time. And there's constant talk about this war, and the way that Russell talks, it was just so... It was just, unfortunately relative to the current times in which we're in. And it was just really unfortunate timing for me to read this book. Anyways, but Russell, I don't know, he's just a character that has a lot of power, essentially. And I don't like that. So you do know, again, this is chaos. I should have prepared way more than this, but here we are. It's fine. I know, for a 40-year-old book. So, okay, I guess dramatic reading time again. I'll just go ahead and read what I had. Where was it? It is here. Nope, not here. Here? Yes. Okay. So Russell says this is when he's like going like off, essentially. The preparations are finished, the votes are in, the die is cast, the chips are down, everything you most dreaded has already occurred. Your ancientest enemies have the whip hand now. To whom will you turn? Your fortress is all chinks, your armor is paper, your old laughter is a reproach in your throat. Nothing is as you supposed it to be. You've been deeply fooled. You have been staring into a mirror and supposing it to be the old road's long continuation, but the road has run out. Dead end, no through traffic. You must change your lives. And he then goes on to say that Arthur sleeps in Avalon. You have no champion, no white hope. Nothing is left to you but surrender. Don't you see that? You do, don't you? Surrender. That's your only chance. Show your rusted sword useless as a toy. Show yourselves helpless, innocent of any of the causes or conclusions of this age, confused, weak as babes. And still, helpless and pitiable as you are, he held out commiserating arms to them with great slowness. He could hold them all and comfort them. Eager to please, as you are, full of love, asking only with softest tears in your big babe's eyes for mercy, pity, peace, still, still. End quote. Well, end his talk. The arms descended, the big hands again gripped the lectern as though it were a weapon. A huge fire burst within Russell Eggenblick's bosom. Horrid gratitude engulfed him that he could lean down upon these microphones at last and say this. Still, it will not draw their pity, none of it, for they have none, or stay their awful weapons, for they have already been loosed, or change anything at all, for this is war. Lower he bent his head, closer his satyr's lips came to the aghast microphones, and his whisper boomed, ladies and gentlemen, this is war. And it's just, it was just so, it got under my skin. And it was just incredibly, incredibly uncomfortable and triggering. And I did not like his character. Thankfully, his character gets his comeuppance in a little bit, or in some way. But at the same time, it's just this, there's this cyclical quality to this story. And I guess, I don't know, to boil it down, this is a fairy tale. Literally and figuratively. It's got fairies. It is a tale. There are constant references to the tale, capital T, tale, by these characters. And the end of this story is, it's basically a once upon a time. Well, there is no basically. It literally refers to it being once upon a time. The last things. Stories last longer, but only by becoming only stories. It was anyway all a long time ago. The world we know now is as it is and not different. If there was ever a time when there were passages, doors, the borders open, and many crossing, that time is not now. The world is older than it was. Even the weather isn't as we remember it clearly once being. Never lately does there come a summer day, such as we remember, never clouds as white as that, never grass as odorous, or shade as deep and full of promise as we remember they can be, as once upon a time they were. And that just, I don't know, the fairy tale quality of this entire thing is just, I don't know. I don't know how to describe it in definitive words, the experience of reading this book. And I guess I'll just end this with pretty much one of the last scenes. Going back to the cyclical, we are introduced in this novel to Smokey Barnable, and we end this novel with Smokey Barnable and his death. And it's incredibly, incredibly emotional. He has this opportunity. Basically, everyone's going to be going to fairy. The entire family is going to be going to the fairy world. And he has the opportunity to go, but he's like, no, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to live my life. What's the point of going to fairy if I can't experience the good and the bad? Even if you didn't like it, it did have an impact on you. That's true. Like, even if I didn't like Russell Eggenblick, he did have an impact. And this story, like this novel as a whole, I can't describe it. It's even though I rated it 4.5 stars, it's probably gonna be my book of the year, unless something comes out of left field. It was that incredibly impactful, and I think part of it, again, is me taking it more slowly and really diving into it, and experiencing wading through the story and with the characters. Yeah, I wish Matt was here. Dang it, Matt, why aren't you here so we can gush about this in the chat? But yeah, it's just I'm gonna try and formulate my thoughts much better and maybe do a legit review on this. So yeah. Again, chaos, it's fine. I thought this was gonna take like 15 minutes, and then 45 minutes later, I'm still yapping incoherently and chaotically. It's fine. Chadia, I do hope that you will try this book again. I actually think you might like it. I know RJ DNF'd it as well. But again, I think if you took it slowly, it might have a better time. Because it's not a linear narrative. It's very nebulous in its narrative as well. So, anywho, I don't know how to log off on these things. So I have another live chat to do in like an hour or 2 hours. I don't know what time is anymore. So yeah. The next chat. Oh, Chadia says, I still remember most of what I read, so it did leave an impact on me too. That's cool. That's great. No pressure, Chadia. No pressure. Yeah, anyways, so the next book, the February book, which I've already read, is The Mercy of Gods by James S.A. Corey. The live show discussion thing will be the first Saturday in March. Probably not necessarily around the same time here, or maybe it will be. I don't know. But keep a lookout for that. It is a space opera. And then if the polls are any indication as of right now, March's book is probably going to be Queen's Gambit by Walter Tevis, but I will make a post once that is formal and finalized and the polls in. So if you guys want to obviously change your vote, feel free to change your vote on Discord. Again, sorry for the chaos and the well, let's face it, I'm always unhinged, and always chaotic, but even more so this day and for this discussion. I will work to be a little bit more coherent and more structured in the discussion for the next book. But thank you everyone for trying the book. Even if you don't try it again, or you do try it again, thank you again. I appreciate it. And I guess I will see you later.